proves that all the Democrats are willing to do for blacks is show up on a Sunday morning, 4 or 5 weeks before election, sing a hymn or two with you, and promise you that they're going to help you get to the promised land, and then they'll do it again in the next 4 years. That's it. And we, as blacks, continue to fall for that. And until we wake up and start to leverage our vote more intelligently, then we're going to continue politically to see our vote taken for granted.
I think that we've been effectively marginalized out of the political process, along with the working class poor, immigrant groups. I really feel like just that election is irrelevant. Kwesi Mfume was the head of the NAACP. We face all types of school crisis. These students stand up, Algebra Project, and demand justice. Where was Kwesi Mfume? Where was the NAACP? There were crises brewing right here within Maryland. Kwesi didn't do anything. The Democratic Party, the black leadership, of what goes for black leadership in this area, doesn't do anything for the masses of black people. I feel like that the masses of black people really, by and large, don't participate in any real sense in the political process, and that they've been marginalized out of the political process. A slight to Kwesi Mfume. I mean, Kwesi Mfume, as far as I'm concerned, has slighted the black community himself. He didn't speak up for black kids when they needed him. And I don't see where Cardin or Mfume, I'm not happy with him, Steele, or anyone else. I don't see how it is relevant to the black community, this election.
Eric?
Oh, I agree with him like 100%, because okay, you are the head of one of the biggest black organizations ever. In this city alone, illegal arrests, school system failing, everything, protests, everything's going on against black people, and you sit there and you watch it and you do nothing. What are you doing? He did nothing as far as Kwesi Mfume go, and Michael Steele. I mean, he's like a George Bush follower, so that just says it all in itself. I mean, I don't feel like any of them do anything to help black people, period. And then you're talking about especially in Baltimore, which is mostly black, no one has done anything. I mean, I know this is a Senate race and it deals with the whole state and all, but my main concern is with black people. What are you going to do for black people? And none of those guys do anything for black people.
And I think I agree to some extent on the personal critiques of these people, but I think Tyrone is a little closer to where I feel as far as the system is concerned. I think the Democratic Party, I agree, they smile and wave and come to your church and shake hands with your pastor, but in Maryland, the Democratic Party, I do not believe is really concerned about bringing African American people to the table as equals. Right. And if you want to come and smile and genuflect and bow and kiss their ring, you can walk in the door. But if you're going to come and really try to make some changes and represent those who elected you and put you in place, they don't want no parts of you. And I think that perhaps they saw that possibility in Kwesi Mfume, because I think the fire would have been turned on so hot underneath his feet about the black community that he would have to do something or just face political assassination by his own. And so I think they saw the possibility in Kwesi Mfume. Now that Kwesi Mfume is lost and out of the way, now we're looking at Ben Cardin, U.S. Congressman, versus Michael Steele, African-American Republican for the U.S. Senate seat. I attended the debate last week at the Greater Baltimore Urban League between Cardin, Steele, and third-party candidate Kevin Zeese. And I can tell you, and I'm just going to put my opinion out there, Steele is a man with no ideas. He is a man with style but no substance. You can tell from his commercials that are airing now in Maryland. You know, it's very nice. I can't put it past. It's nice little puppy dogs and no mention of being a Republican and nice and attractive, but sitting in front of that man and listening for issues and ideas, he has none. When it got to the question of the war in Iraq, when I heard Michael Steele regurgitate the Bush rhetoric of staying the course and holding the line, I said, this man is just a puppet and just going to stand up and do what the party tells him to do. So I can't vote for Michael Steele. I mean, I've made that determination already. I cannot. George Bush came to Baltimore in November, raised $500,000 for Steele in his campaign. Other major players in the National Republican Party have come and raised major money. Please don't be fooled, black people. Don't be fooled to think that the Republican Party is going to help Steele get to the party at Capitol Hill and then let him be this independent, moderate voice that he's talking about. There's no way.
Well, nobody is. I mean, if Cardin went up there, he wouldn't be.
I agree.
If Zeist went up there, if he got it, being an independent, he'd virtually be powerless because, you know, him and what, 3 other, I think there's Jeffers and maybe another one that are independent. So, you know, that's not even going to help. And Eric said that made an assertion that none of these people being elected officials do anything for blacks. Well, blacks need to do for self. We don't need to rely on a Kwesi Mfume, a Ben Cardin, or anyone like that. I've always said, and I mean, viewers of this show know that I'm not going to go out there and just cast a vote for the Democratic ticket simply because my mother and grandmother did so and still do so. I'm going to vote independent. I'm going to vote independently, although I am registered a Democrat, because you can't be registered anything else in this state, and have your vote count.
Right.
Because by the time it gets to the general, it's already decided.
We need to do for self, but we still need to hold our elected officials accountable.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that
and the way
should
you do
be
that is voting.
Right, but I think it goes far beyond voting. I think that we need to be a part of political action committees. We need to actually pool our resources to back candidates. Corporations know this, but a lot of rank and file folk do not know the ins and outs of the political process. I mean, we need to watch the Jewish people as a model and begin to do the same thing in terms of influencing their electorate. I mean, I just feel that we actually step up as slaves. I don't blame the elected officials more than I blame us. They step into our churches because we allow them to step into our churches.
And we worship them once they get there.
Pretty much. And I mean, you see groups like La Raza, the Hispanic group, pretty much doing what we should have been doing years ago. They have not been on the scene as long as the NAACP, yet they know how to organize, how to put influence on elected officials and candidates, and as a consequence of such, you see the Hispanic vote being taken more seriously than the black vote.
Because the NAACP is a Jewish organization. It's not a black organization. What money funds the NAACP from the beginning? Who has been the president of the NAACP from the beginning? We don't even tell the real story of the NAACP. When we have black independent organizations, then I think that we'll have independent thought and we'll be able to do the same type of things that the Latino community can.
We don't have any black independent organizations today?
Not major, powerful organizations.
Okay. I want to get to a hard question now, y'all. And please forgive me if this is rude or this unpolite in any way. But I want to know, who should African Americans vote for at the polls come November 7th in this U.S. Senate race? Now, and let me give my little pitch. I'm going to give a pitch before we go. I'm going to pitch for Kevin Zeist. My critique is, my concern is right along lines with your critique. That if Kevin Zeist gets there, he'll be virtually powerless. I mean, he'll be virtually powerless because, you know, he's not a part of the system. And so, but I would feel good to know that I voted for a man who I agree with on Iraq, I agree with on health care, I agree with on so many other issues, And I just don't go along with this philosophy of vote for the lesser of two evils. A vote for the lesser of two evils is still voting for evil. So I can't tell the youngins and the brothers I'm mentoring, let's be virtuous and honorable Africans, and I'm saying vote for the lesser of two evils. Evil is evil any way you slice it. And so my support right now is going for Kevin Zeese, because I think a tide is turning. With 500,000 people in Maryland alone registered as independents or green or libertarian or populist, I think I think people are getting sick and tired of both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, and saying that both parties are corrupt. They're controlled by outside interests, and we have no voice. Particularly black people have no voice in either party. And so, is Kevin Zeese going to win? I'm not foolish. I mean, most likely he will not win. But is it a win for me? Yes, because I'm going to hold my line on, you know, what I value, what my principles are, and what I will and will not compromise for the sake of going along to get along. So, who should people vote for? U.S. Senate race.
Well, this is what I quite frankly am undecided as to whether or not I'm going to vote for either of the top candidates.
Okay.
The chance of me voting for Cardin, chances of me voting for Cardin are slim and none. Or writing my own name in there, because that's my personal form of protest when I don't agree with any of the candidates.
I know that's right.
But whatever people do, what they should do is take a critical look at what each of the candidates is saying. Do not go into the voting booth because your Aunt T voted Democrat for 40 years and pull that Democratic lever without doing your research. When you come out after doing your research, you feel a whole lot better having cast that vote for a reason. So that's what I implore people to do.
Ted?
I'm going to be the second person to say I'm coming out for Kevin Zeese. I want a third political apparatus. I feel that we need more choices within the community. I believe that we're marginalized out of the Democratic and the Republican Party, and I'd like to see a third party come on the scene. And I'm also coming out for Kevin Zeese.
You can't vote yet, but who do you like?
I mean, I hate to be the oddball, but I say forget them all. Because, I mean, if Zeese is not going to have influence or power, then, and he's definitely almost guaranteed not to win, then that's pointless. You got the guy Cardin, and I mean, come on, that's a joke. And then still, who might as well be a white man, because he followed behind him like a puppet. And at the end of the day, to me, they all evil.
Well, let me ask you this. And black people are big on diversity, right? Don't you think we have the right to be diverse in the way we think?
I mean...
Do I have to think like you just because I'm black? Do we have to share the same ideology just because we share the same skin color?
I mean, at this time, I think we should. I think we all should be focused on uniting. Because that's
true.
part of the reason why...
And I don't mean to cut you off, but uniting is the destination. I'm sure if you and I sat down, what we would like to see as a destination is probably mirror image. But the paths that we take to get there might be a little different. Now, you and I don't think we should be at each other's throats just because we think of the destination, how to get there, taking a different path. I think that, you know, like, we are the most diverse people that are out there on this planet right now. And I think that as hard as we fought to have the right to vote and think the way we want to think and vote, that we should not confine ourselves to one ideology. Even if we disagree, which is fine.
I mean, as diverse as black people are almost right now, we the poorest people on the planet. We do the worst out of all the ethnic groups as far as intelligence going. We always come second to white man. Like, say for instance, as far as voting go, I mean, I wouldn't be out in those streets getting my face beat in just so I can vote for a white man. I mean, it's not. I mean.
So then you would disagree with King then?
But this is
I would disagree with King. I would totally agree with Malcolm.
Was attempting to do, which was get us the right to vote in this country in which we live. So I mean, don't you think it's important?
We should be separating instead of trying to move towards white people. Say if a woman was in a marriage, and I hate to use this example, and her husband was beating on her, Why would she be running to her husband, baby, take me, if he beating on you? You should be trying to get away from him and move away.
Or picking up a bat and beating him back. Don't you think that might help too?
I mean, hey, that's what Malcolm taught. But you talking about King's philosophy.
Now, I'm talking
King
about, wait a minute, I'm talking
take
about
the
King's
beating.
philosophy in one instance. Just let's not do this because I mentioned King in one aspect, blow it out to me agreeing with King on every aspect. I mentioned that I do agree with King's thrust to get us the right to vote, because I think voting is important. If we're sitting up here debating the importance of the black vote, now if we did not have that right, we'd be more marginalized than we are now. Wouldn't you agree with that? You don't really think he'd be able to own a business, or you'd be able to go to the school of your choice if we did not have the right to vote?
Well, actually, when we didn't have the right to vote, we owned more businesses, and our schools were actually better when they were segregated.
Yeah, they were. But what I'm asking you, the question is, no, I agree with that. I agree with that. We did
Now you're
own,
gonna go back to the kitty table in a minute.
we did own businesses at that time, and we did have our own enclaves that were economically superior to what we have now. But some things that have changed, including the major one, is that we live in a global society. You're not just competing with the guy around the corner. You're competing with Juan Lee, continents away. So you're not just competing with the white man. And again, I say, don't you think it's important for us as black people, even if we feel, because we're talking about how do we get together and make our vote count for more. We're not talking about how do we get the right to vote.
I mean, the thing, like you said, competing globally. One of the major black people that competed globally as far as the business goes was Elijah Muhammad, who didn't believe in voting. He traded with other countries on his own. Hand-to-hand contract, had his own businesses, and didn't even believe in voting. He separated. He wasn't taking the beating from white people.
But I think, because we're going to keep on going back and forth, but I think, and good job, young man, but I think, I don't agree with you all the way, but good job. But I think that what Eric just shared, and viewers, I hope you didn't miss it. What he just shared is what I think is indicative of what a lot of young people are feeling. Like the whole system is so corrupt that it's almost like I'm not going to get involved in it at all. Just give me my 106 in Park. Just give me my...
And that's exactly
MTV.
what the white establishment wants. Sit down there and watch BET, stay out of things. Don't vote. Please. That's exactly what the white establishment
Just
wants.
stay out of
Because you'll never
Or-
change anything
But
if you don't work within the established system that is in place in this country.
But I think we got to look at...
Unless you take up arms.
It's working
Unless you
with the
take up
devil.
arms.
It's working with the devil. The
Okay, well then
established
sit
system
there
in
and
the
watch
country-
106 in Park.
That's not what he's saying.
not-
Watch 106
I read
in
books
Park.
way more than I
Yeah,
read
he does, he
106
does.
in Park. I mean, my thing is, the black vote hardly counts for anything anyway. We make up 13% of the country. Half of us in jail, and if we're not in jail...
That's not true. Half of us are
half
not
us
in jail.
Most of us, okay, we got a lot of us in jail. A lot of us have been in jail. So that makes us unable to vote because we're felons.
Statistically, there are more young people like you, young black men like you, who are out there doing the right thing, reading books, getting educated. And although I don't
I don't see them in my neighborhood.
That is you don't see them in your neighborhood, but your neighborhood does not encompass the United States
You're
of
saying in
America.
the nation?
Right, he's saying in his neighborhood. I mean, I don't see a lot of
neighborhood-
things.
We're talking about reading. You said
You know what?
reading books too.
Yes, I did.
Reading books
Yes, I did.
independently.
Yes, I did.
One out of three of us, one out of four of us is going to graduate, and one
in
out of
this
three
city-
of us is going to go to jail.
I think you better watch those statistics, and you better be careful who you get your statistics from, because there are a lot of statistics that have been shoved down our throats to make us believe that more of us are in jail, that less of us have a chance to do anything. And you better really watch those statistics. I think that black people are more inclined to believe stuff like that because it helps us continue to talk and talk and talk
In what
about
neighborhoods
issues.
does these young males exist? Because in every hood and every city I've been to, I see more people selling drugs in jail.
Hey, you know what? That's the same type of rhetoric that I would think that I would hear from someone who is white. You know, where are all these black guys who are supposed to be doing good and reading
Because
books?
it's real. Because that's the
If
truth.
it's real, how come you're sitting here?
Because I had someone reach out to me.
Okay, well, for whatever
I was
reason,
in one of
you're
the bad
here.
neighborhoods. I was in one of
So
the
was
bad
I.
neighborhoods.
But
And
for whatever reason, you are here now.
Right.
You're not out there selling drugs.
Right.
You're not in jail.
But most
Have
of
you
my
ever
friends
been in
are.
jail?
Most of my friends
We're
are.
not talking about your friends. We're talking about you. Have
Me,
you ever been in jail?
independently, I'm one man. Never been in jail.
You're
Never been
one
in jail.
man, right.
I'm
King
one
was
man.
one man. X was one man. You've never been to jail. You've never sold drugs. So, okay, so it's possible.
We got to wrap up. Leave it at that. But you see how passionate we get about these issues, and I'm thankful to everybody a part of the dialogue to make it passionate and informed. Before we wrap up, though, I need you to take a look at this beautiful ancestor in the person of Victoria Jackson Gray Adams. She was one of those people who did a lot of talking, but even more than her talking, she put her neck on the line for what she believed in as a member of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, as a member of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, along with Fannie Lou Hamer. This woman passed recently in early August, and we celebrated her with a national memorial here in Baltimore. If you do not know about Victoria Jackson Gray Adams, be assured that your school won't teach you about her. Take it upon yourself, as Eric has done, to educate yourself about Victoria Jackson Gray Adams. You can go to www.crmvet.org. CRM, Civil Rights Movement Vet.org. crmvet.org. Learn more about her and the many other elders we have still alive who are out there fighting for freedom and justice and who have not given up. Just because they're not on TV does not mean they're not still working. And find your way to learn about them and join in what they're doing. Thank you so much for watching this edition of BrothaSpeak. I'm your host, Heber Brown. Come back next week for a wonderful and again a passionate discussion. And you can be assured of the passion because we're keeping Tyrone and Eric right here on the show for next week. See you next time.